So yeah, day 11, third world prison. Technically day 6 in Central Belize prison. They did an unscheduled sweep of the prison for women. And they went cell by cell. They'd have you stand outside your cell. 2 guards would stand next to you while 2 more guards went in and went through everything. When it came to us, my roommate was back from, was my roommate back? Oh, I can't remember. Um, no, she wasn't back yet. I don't think she was back. It was just me. So I'm staying in the hallway, and there are 2 prison guards standing next to me, and then the prison guards that are responsible for disciplining, aka macing you, were in there sweeping. And it was so interesting because while they were sweeping, they didn't lift a mattress in the neighbor's cell. My roommate's mattress didn't get lifted. But for some reason, they lifted my mattress, the mattress that I slept on. And there was a makeshift razor tucked in this corner. I mean, they literally lifted up and looked, looked along, and they saw in this corner this makeshift razor. They pulled it out and looked at me. And they said, is this yours? Is this your bid? Is this your bid? And the prison guard, one of the prison guards that was standing outside of the cell, was in charge of the prison. And she said, oh, wait, hold on. She just got here. Like, we just moved her into the cell, like, 3 days ago. I really don't think this is from her. Thank God. And I said, yeah, I've never seen that before. That's not mine. And they just, like, they paused, holding it, and they looked at me, and they looked at the prison guard that vouched for me, and they looked at me again. And I just stood there, and I looked back at them, and I was like, please, God, they will throw me in the hole. I was like, oh my God, please. I don't want to live like an animal. It's already bad as it is. Like, please don't make it worse. So I just stood there and I looked back, made eye to eye. I just looked. I said, no, that's not mine. I just got here. I didn't know. I don't know how that got there. And they paused. They said, okay. My God. I was just like, this huge sigh of relief came out of me. Like, oh my God. And so I calmly acted, but I didn't, that was from the inside. I didn't do that in front of them. I stayed calm the whole time. Cool and collect. That was one thing I was learning that I needed to do at all times, as much as possible. Stay cool and collect. Even though inside of me, my heart was like beating outside of my chest. So, I passed the unscheduled strip search, was let back into my cell. Oh, I forgot. They went through my books, and particularly they picked up my journal, and they picked a page and actually started reading my journal. I stood there like, what? You're reading my journal? And she read out loud one of the first lines of my journal, commenting that I had seen a cockroach. And she looked at me and she was like, you're writing about cockroaches? And the other prison guards looked at me and I was like, I'm really afraid of roaches. Like, this is really hard for me. I'm trying to get used to it. So yes, I did journal about cockroaches. She looked at me, rolled her eyes, closed the book, and put it down. Oh man, but I was like, oh my gosh, I have to be careful. I was not expecting that. I didn't know that they were gonna read through our journals. Again, another naive moment in Julia's book of naive moments. So anyway, I passed the strip search. I passed them reading my journal out loud, and went back into my cell, and yeah. sat there and watched my neighbor's turn. And that was disturbing because they did find something. So one of the so I said earlier that in the middle of the day, a couple of the prisoners that were being kept in the hole were brought out and brought back into the main jail, and they were put into a cell. Well, one of the prisoners that was pulled out of the hole was put into a cell right across from me. And immediately I found her behavior to be a little disruptive, and I got a little worried because I was like, don't you want to be like more chill? She immediately started like pulling out the string in her blanket and making friendship bracelets. And at one point, I told her, I said, hey, like, I don't want you to get in trouble. Maybe you shouldn't be pulling the string out of that blanket. Like, I don't think, it's not our property. I think you're going to get in trouble. And she ignored me. She just kept doing it. And at one point, one of the friendship bracelets that she made, she tried to hand it to me. She's like, hey, I got you something. And I was like, no, thank you. I don't want that. I was like, no, thank you. I really appreciate it, but no. And I made one last ditch attempt. I was like, I really don't think you should be doing that. I'm a little worried. I don't want you to get in trouble. And she just looked at me and just kept at it, making all these, like, I don't know how many she made. I know at some point she made one and she tied it in her hair. Another, and then I noticed that like when I think we were walking out to shower, she had given a few people in other cells a bracelet. And then to my horror, I happened to look down at the floor in the right spot, and I saw that she had thrown one of her bracelets into my cell when I wasn't paying attention as a surprise gift. Well, thank God I happened to see it before the surprise strip search of our cells, because as soon as I saw it on the floor, I picked it up and she looked over and smiled. And I was like, oh, thank you so much. And I put it in my pocket and she's like, no, it's for you to wear. And I was like, I'm going to use it as a bookmark for one of my books, but thank you so much. And then when she wasn't looking, I went over to the toilet and I flushed it. And thank God, because during that strip search, when they went to her cell and they picked up the blanket, and there were holes in the blanket from her pulling the string. And she immediately tried to throw her cellmate under the bus. That wasn't me. I didn't do it. Well, then who did it? And she like looked at her cellmate and tried to throw her cellmate under the bus. And her cellmate looked at her like, I did not do that. Do not try to frame me. And on top of that, she was wearing one of the bracelets. She had one of the bracelets in her hair as a hair tie. So the guards questioned her a little bit more. We're trying to give her opportunity to admit to it. She would not. And so they put her back in the hole because this chick was tearing up her blanket and making friendship bracelets out of it. Never a dull moment, I swear. Unfortunately for me, these experiences, these moments, weren't things that I could laugh off. The state I was in, actually, it was really draining me. And, I ended up crying afterwards. When no one was looking, I got in my bed and I just cried. And I pleaded with God, please guide me in this process. I'm just waiting for this court hearing. I just need to go to this court hearing and get out of here. And I just thought to myself how very evil that immigration officer was. He knew exactly what he was doing when he extended my next court hearing out 6 weeks.